Hey there, and welcome back. This is David Breslow, founder of the Personal Best Academy and Performance Success Strategies, and the creator of Wired to Win. So stay tuned for today's mental toughness tip. Welcome back. Today, I want to talk to you about something very important. It's not something a lot of people think about, but I'd like to talk to you about free will. Free will is an interesting subject. I work with so many clients. When they come to me, they believe they operate under free will. Golfers think they operate under free will, actors do, tennis players do, regular life-oriented customers do, people who are just interested in elevating themselves in life in general. Almost everybody, when I bring up the subject of free will, says, "Oh yeah, Dave, of course I operate under free will. I decide what I'm going to do. I make the choices. I decide where I'm going to go every day." Golfer will say to me, "Oh, I decide what club I'm going to hit or what kind of shot I'm going to hit." No, of course, Dave, I have free will. Well, I'm going to say something to you right now that may sound very contrary and maybe even a little bit unsettling. But the truth is that most people do not operate under free will. They really don't. I'm not saying you don't have free will. I think all human beings do. It's what separates us from the animals. We do have free will. But the reality is that most of us do not use it. We think we're using it, and we've talked ourselves into using it, thinking that we're using it, but we're really not. And here's what I mean by that. Think about this for a moment. Look at all the times in life or on the golf course or on the tennis court or wherever you are when you naturally and habitually react to something, or even in life, somebody says something to you and you naturally and habitually get angry or get frustrated or you're jealous or you're starting to think all sorts of negative things. Especially golfers on the golf course and tennis players do the same thing. Something happens out there that you don't like, and all of a sudden this negative stream comes running through your head, right? And so many people will call me and say, "Well, hey, would you help me get rid of this negative self-talk and help me be more positive and all that stuff?" And it's interesting to me because that's not really the issue. What's really the issue is that you're actually acting and reacting out of rote habit. You're like a robot. That A happens and B is your reaction. It's almost like the snap of a finger. You hit a bad shot and boom, you get angry, you get flustered, you get frustrated. It's like there's nothing in between, but of course there is. And it's something that most people are not aware of, because you cannot have a reaction without first having a thought of some kind, believe it or not. It's just that most of us have the reaction so quickly, we don't even realize that a thought occurred in between the event and our reaction. So when I say you don't operate out of free will, what I really mean is we're more like automatons. We're more like robots. We go throughout our day and all sorts of things are happening around us and we are reacting, 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 reacting. And then what do we do when we don't like our reactions? We call somebody or we go read a book or we go online and we look up things or we go find an expert in that particular field and say, "Hey, would you help me, not react so much? And would you help me with my reactions?" And in my mind, that's too late. You've already reacted. Why don't you learn how to react less so you don't have to deal with those reactions instead of trying to deal with every one of those reactions and do what I call putting out the fire? So my question to everybody is, would you rather have fewer fires to put out, or would you rather be great at putting out the fires that you have? Well, when I ask that question, most people will say to me, "Well, I'd rather have fewer fires." Well, of course you would. Why would you want to get better at putting out fires? Wouldn't it be much better to reduce the number of fires that you have to put out? I think so. And most people I talk to agree with that. They just don't know how to do that. So let me get back to the free will for a moment. I've gone a little bit off track. I want you to pay attention to the times when you're just automatically reacting like a robot. Because if you can start to become aware of this, now you can break the pattern. One of the reasons we don't break the pattern is because we're not even aware it's happening. because you go around life saying, no, I operate out of free will. You're so completely convinced you operate out of free will that it's not even a consideration for you. And I'm telling you right here to your face through this audio that there are many times you do not use your skill or your ability to use your free will. You're just reacting out of rote habit because you've done it time and time and time again over the years. And the older you are, the longer you've been doing it. It's really that simple. So, number one, be honest with yourself. Are you willing to admit that you really don't operate out of free will? That's step number one, because if you can do that, you're halfway there. If your ego is too big and you can't do that, then you're just going to be stuck reacting and reacting over and over again and looking for answers in all sorts of places that you don't really need to go and spend money on, but you will because you are trying to fix something. And I'm giving you the way out right now. So that's step number one. Are you willing to admit that you are not using your power of free will right now as often as you can? I'm not saying you never use it. I'm just saying there's a lot of times that you might not. And that's what I want you to be aware of. Step number two, the moment you notice that you're reacting, stop it at least up to halfway through. Let it go. If you can't catch it right away, fine. If you catch it in the middle, fine. But just catch it somewhere along the line, catch it. And ask yourself this question. Am I operating out of free will right now? Am I operating out of free will right now? And then you may be surprised at the answer because your mind, your brain will answer that question for you. And most likely the answer is going to be, you know what? You're not operating out of free will at all, man or woman. You do this all the time. You react like this all the time. So no, you're not operating out of free will. You don't be surprised if your brain gives you that kind of a response. And in that moment, believe it or not, you now have an opportunity. You have a small window of opportunity to demonstrate a different response. You can now move from a reaction, from a habitual, what I call a sleep reaction, to an awake response, a conscious new choice that you can make. And what I've given you just now will really set you free if you're willing to do it. So once again, 2 steps. Step number one, am I willing to admit that I'm not operating out of free will as much as I think I am? Yes or no? If the answer is no, you're going to keep doing what you're doing. If the answer is yes, you're halfway on the road to freedom. Step number two, the next time you catch yourself reacting to anything, whether you catch it at the beginning, the middle, or the end, it's fine, doesn't matter. Ask yourself the question, am I reacting out of free will right now? Or did I just react out of free will right now? And listen, your brain will give you an answer. And if the answer is no, which it probably will be, you now have a new opportunity, a new window to make a conscious choice. If you're already done with the reaction, you can make that conscious choice of what you want to do about it. Maybe you'll say something to somebody, or if you're out on the golf course, maybe you'll just start to relax and talk to yourself a little more positively and pleasantly. It'll happen automatically. That's the beauty of this. I don't have to give you 6 things to do because I really don't know in what scenario you're going to be applying this. I can't really answer that question, but it'll happen automatically. If you do what I just said, these 2 steps, the right response and the more positive response and positive reaction, the thing that's best for you and everybody involved will come automatically. It's hard to believe, but it's true. But you don't have to believe me. Just like everything else you do, I'm asking you to apply it. Don't just listen and be a listener. I want you to be a doer. Just apply this and see what happens. So Dave Breslow, thanks for hanging out with me. I'll look forward to talking to you next time. And for you golfers out there, come and see me at www.mentalgolfcoaching.com and take a look at the website. I've got some kind of new decade sales going on now, but take a look at the information on there. Would love to have you visit me. And if you're listening to this in cyberspace, which you probably are, please leave a note. We'd love to hear from you, and I will respond. So once again, Dave Breslow, thanks for hanging out with me. Talk to you soon.